Disturb not the harmony of fire, ice, or lightning, lest these titans wreak destruction upon the world in which they clash. Though the water's great guardian shall arise to quell the fighting, alone its song will fail, and thus the earth shall turn to ash. Hey folks, welcome back to HeartGold vs. Crystal. We are here in the Seafoam Islands once again. We are once again on a legendary Pokémon hunt. And this time we're going bird watching. Catching. Bird catching. And anyway, the first bird on our list can be found here in the Seafoam Islands. In Gold, Silver, and Crystal, Seafoam Islands I think were completely closed off other than Blaine's Gym. Here they are a fully pledged icy area. It's not incredibly complex or hard to get through, but there are a number of trainers, there are wild Pokemon, there are ice sliding puzzles, there are strength puzzles. It's basically all you could ask for. And there's still cell phone reception. God knows why. One of these days I'm just gonna go live on top of a mountain with no cell phone reception and just stay there for years. Anyway, Seafoam Islands is a multi-layered dungeon, but it's overall not too hard to get through. None of the floors are too hard, and unlike how they were in Red, Blue, and Yellow, there's no requirement for surfing around and multi-floor puzzles going on. It's more or less everything is contained to its own floor. Like in Red, Blue, and Yellow, you have to adjust the water currents by pushing strength boulders down holes. Here, you just need to find your way down to the bottom. But it's still a lot more than there was in Gold, Silver, and Crystal, so I'm gonna give it a pass. Oh man, and now we're all the way back at the top. You can tell that it's been somewhat inhabited since we last visited 3 years ago, which we haven't visited yet. What are you talking about? Or ladders, etc. I'm betting that, Blaine put those up or something. Likes to prey on the ice types here. But anyway, the legendary Pokemon in question is this thingamajig, which unfortunately doesn't have unique music or anything. It is Articuno. It is one of 3 legendary Kanto birds. It is the Ice type. Now, Articuno could be found here in Red, Blue, Yellow, etc. as well. And either there are multiple Articuno, which is entirely possible, or the protagonist of those games apparently did not catch Articuno in this canon. Heck if I know. But Articuno, if you're trying to kill it, that's really easy. Use a Rock-type move on it and it'll go down. It's quadruple weak. But it is a legendary Pokemon, and thus you are probably going to be inclined to catch it, which I would recommend. It's not the most amazingly powerful legendary Pokemon. I think it's actually not very good in the grand scheme of things. But look at it, it's so cool. And I say that because it's an ice pun, not because it's actually that cool. And let's toss some balls at it. As a legendary, its catch rate is relatively low, but because I'm a wizard, I'm catching it in 1 ball. Don't expect to catch it that easily. Save in front of it. Good lord. If that isn't a trained thing in you by this point, save in front of legendaries. Anyway, our second bird of interest is a little ways away from Cerulean City. It's actually pretty close to Rock Tunnel, but I'm coming from Cerulean City to make it seem like more of an arduous journey. Because overall, this bird is a lot easier to get to compared to the other birds that we're going after today. Articuno had Seafoam Islands, there's a mountain we'll be traversing later, and there's some islands and other cool things like that. But here, the bird is just kind of chilling out outside the power plant. It used to live inside the power plant, and there was a dungeon in there, back in Red, Blue, Yellow, etc. But right now, it's just hanging out outside. I guess it got evicted or something. But it's Zapdos, probably the most popular, at least, of the Kanto legendary birds. It is flying electric. And overall, it's pretty darn good. Honestly, if it weren't so late in the game, you could catch it and do heinous things with it. And that's what a lot of people like to do in Red, Blue, Yellow, etc. is catch Zapdos and do heinous things with it. But overall, it doesn't have the unfortunate typing of its two other Kanto counterparts, both of which are quadruple weak to rock. And this is an electric type with somewhat decent defenses. Ooh, excellent. And I managed to paralyze it despite it being an electric type, which is a rarity. And of course, its catch rate is comparable to that of Articuno, so again, you should be patient. Don't use your Master Ball on these things, though. That would be a grave misuse of its powers. You can't just chill out here and try several times. Anyway, put it right close to death there. That's just about the best catching opportunity I'll get. So let's be a wizard and nab it in an Ultra Ball. It may be worth your time to go after these other kind of balls called Dusk Balls, which I believe are somehow obtainable in this game. I'm not entirely sure how, but when used properly in either caves or at night, they are twice as effective as Ultra Balls in catching wild Pokemon. Anyway, the final legendary bird is actually off this way, in Mount Silver, which is the area that was unlocked by Professor Oak once we completed the Kanto Gym Challenge. So you really cannot get this legendary bird until way late in the game. And this bird is kind of a drifter, a vagrant of sorts, because it's never appeared in the same location twice. In Red, Blue, Yellow, and Green, I guess, it was in Victory Road. It was actually in the final cave. That was changed in the remakes of Fire Red and Leaf Green to appear on the Seafoam Islands on Mount Ember. And then here, of course, it appears in Mount Silver, and I believe in Platinum or something? I don't even remember. The Kanto legendary birds are roamers, and they just, I mean, they're not even in Kanto, they're elsewhere in the world. But they can appear on random routes, basically. And I forget about how they can appear in 5th gen games, if they can appear in the 5th gen games. But the point is, this guy likes to move around, or is forced to move around. Could be either one. But you do have to pack both a rock climb and a waterfall to get to him, which is a bit of a pain. But here, in this Mount Silver cave, we have a little fiery bird down there. It is the third and final Kanto legendary bird, Moltres. Man, look at those chicken legs. It's a barbecue chicken right there. But Moltres is a fire-flying type, and as such is extremely weak to rock, unfortunately. I'm not sure how it compares to Articuno in terms of popularity. It might be less popular just in terms of coolness factor, but slightly better in terms of usability. I have no idea. All I know is that Zapdos is kind of the king. But I have a special, place in my heart for Moltres, because Moltres is the first shiny legendary I ever encountered. And I technically encountered it through resetting, but that's because I kept resetting because I couldn't freaking catch the thing. Not because I was resetting for a shiny. But I have a shiny Moltres over on my Pokemon Ranch. His name is, I believe, Diablo. It's pink. It's a manly shiny. But that is the last of the 3 Kanto legendary birds. So let's get it in the ball. Wonderful. And with these 3 birds out of the way, we have one more bird to take care of after this commercial break. Alrighty, one more bird to go, and it is a little bit south of Olivine City. Now, I confess that you don't actually need to catch the 3 Kanto legendary birds in order to access this bird. I just thought it was more thematically fitting because it was the plot of the second movie. But in order to access this bird, one, it will depend on your version. In HeartGold, it is the bird that dwells here in the Whirl Islands. In Soul Silver, it is the bird that lives at the top of the Tin Tower that we have already dealt with. But you remember that, I believe in the last episode, we picked up a special little wing from an old man in Pewter City after completing all the Kanto gyms. Upon doing that, you can go and catch the mascot legendary opposite of your version. So it's not actually version exclusive, which is nice. But for now, let's head on into the Whirl Islands. And the Whirl Islands, I'm not sure if they are a difficult place to navigate, or what. I have no idea, because I never frickin' go in here. I played Gold over and over when I was growing up, so I never went here. I went up the Tin Tower over and over, but I never went here. So I can't really speak too much about it. All I know is that I was very unfamiliar with it, but it seems fairly linear. Like, not too many items. There's one. I can't speak to its merits, honestly. But I will criticize this aesthetic. It's a nice aesthetic, but it doesn't really differentiate itself from most of the other caves. Anyway, that guy will get out of the way if you have the silver wing. And if we descend all the way down and head to this secret cavern. Now this is a cool looking cave. And there is our ultimate prize. And here we go, Lugia. Lugia is the final legendary bird on our checklist after Ho-Oh and the Kanto Trio, and it is level 70. It really would be rather unfair to give it to you any earlier than this. Now, like Ho-Oh, Lugia has his own unique battle theme, unique to HeartGold and Soul Silver. And it should note that you can get Lugia in Gold in this same method, but he doesn't have the original music. And people will get into internet arguments about whether or not Ho-Oh's battle theme or Lugia's battle theme is better. Those people are silly, because Ho-Oh's theme is better. And also internet arguments are dumb. But Lugia is kind of a hell of a tank. Either a wall or a tank, I'm not really sure. But the point is, it takes hits really, really well, and because it's an Uber, it can dish out hits pretty darn well. Maybe not well for Uber, but it's a dangerous thing. Kind of the saving grace here is that Lugia has actually outgrown its signature move at this point, Aeroblast. So it will not unleash its most powerful flying-type move upon you while you're trying to catch it. You can safely endure these ancient powers while you're chucking your Ultra Balls or Dusk Balls. It should be worth worrying about, or at least noticing, ancient power. You notice that all these birds have been used. Oh, it has Aeroblast, never mind. Sorry about that, don't use grass types against this guy. But be aware of Ancient Power, because Ancient Power does have that possibility of raising all of his stats, offensive and defensive, and that can make, like, surviving against him a pain while you're trying to chuck all those balls. And that can apply to any of the birds around here. But anyway, now that Lugia is in the red, we can either start catching him, or maybe switch to some sleeper or paralysis farm. Looks like sleep is the way to go. And again, Lugia probably has a lower catch rate than the other birds we've dealt with, like equal to Ho-Oh. So it will take a lot of effort to actually get it in the ball. And unfortunately that whole sleeping thing didn't really work out. It has a powerful moveset, don't underestimate it. You could be justified in using your Master Ball against this one. I still don't think it's really optimal. I would recommend that on like one of the roaming legendary beasts. But it's up to you. This is kind of the final boss in terms of catching things. And it goes down in the Ultra Ball, because I'm a wizard. Now, Lugia, we're pretty sure there's multiple Lugia, but whatever, who knows. It's a big-ass thing. And it's pretty cool. I actually like its design more than I like Ho-Oh's. I just don't like its music as much. And that takes care of our legendary hunt. So I'll see you guys next time for the beginning of some optional super bosses.